Listen, I really liked all three of these. Let me explain. So if there's one thing that these two have in common, it's the box office narrative that's been going around because of it. Something that Fleabag doesn't have to deal with since it was streaming. But on the week of both of these openings, I read more articles talking about how they stumbled at the box office than people were actually talking about the movie itself. I heard people blaming Booksmart and its release date because it decided to go wide right away as opposed to releasing it in limited theaters first, which is something I always hate being stationed in Chicago. But when late night decided to go limited, it worked even less. I know that there's this whole cinema versus streaming debate going on right now, and I do get the dream of wanting to see your movie at a theater. But the question is, how do you get the general audience to pay the same price for an indie that they did a $2 billion blockbuster? I mean, if we look at the streaming numbers, we see more people are starting to stream at home. You can ask people who hate paying $12 to go see a movie at the theater with loud, obnoxious people. And then there's even the theater chains themselves that have acknowledged the problem and are trying to fix it. AMC has this new thing they're doing called artisan films, where they highlight certain independent movies to give them an extra push by, I guess, adding a logo to the poster. Now, I don't know what constitutes something as being more artisan than another, but what I do know is that AMC has done this exact program before with a different name. So I don't know what's going to happen here, but what I do wish is that there was another way to release a movie and that it can reach the widest audience possible. You know, if it could cut down on distribution, if they didn't have to spend $33 million on marketing like Late Night did. And it didn't even bring back a quarter of that. Now, I really like these movies, and I've seen them multiple times in theaters, which is why I've always thought that the numbers, the projections were kind of off, because if you're comparing Booksmart to others like it, it did pretty well, even compared to its own numbers. I didn't expect it to beat Aladdin, which was, for some reason, the narrative, but the irony of setting these crazy financial expectations on a movie that's about these two girls trying to subvert their own expectations is quite fascinating. I always thought projections were supposed to be made by professionals who would have seen that Annapurna rarely makes 100 back unless they got a partner. Love their movies, not the greatest at spreading the word, but that's okay because I believe that both of these movies will find its audience and be successful once they're on the streaming platforms that bought the rights for it. So, the Superbad comparison. I've actually been watching a lot more Insecure Season 3 right now, and Booksmart reminds me a lot about that one with how blunt both of they are, but I understand the Superbad comparison. I have heard people, kind of be upset, acting like it's disrespectful to compare Booksmart to another successful teen movie, but people also thought it was disrespectful to call Peele the next Kubrick and not the first Peele. Meanwhile, Peele was dressed as Jack Torrance during interviews. So I personally see it as a compliment, because it's not the only movie this year that's a lot like Superbad. Trust me. And the story itself precedes Superbad anyways. The story of two friends at the end of their senior year who never got frisky during high school, so they set out to smash that summer with a specific person in mind before college. Everyone at the school has pegged them as losers. They have the quirky third friend who gets them in trouble. They're trying to get to a party throughout the entire movie. When they finally do, the main two have a fight as they realize that they're about to go their separate ways after high school. They both have characters who try to do it at a party and it ends up really awkward, and then they end up getting arrested. There's this, there's that. There's the fact that these two are siblings. And the thing is, I think you can still enjoy both.
How dare you say that about my best friend?
Amy, you fucking slapped me!
My biggest gripe with the movie is really the name. Superbad is engaging. I would get 2 tickets for that. But when I search up Booksmart on IMDb, I get other short dramas about literary geniuses appearing. When I asked my non-film friends about this movie, they actually thought it was a chess prodigy movie. But even Pawn Sacrifice had a better name than that. Either way, it is a junior prize for me. Like I said, I've seen it multiple times since I caught it at South by Southwest, and I think it gets funnier. I remember when I graduated and there was a couple of people who were like them that had dedicated their lives to school, sacrificed all parties, fun, relationships, and then the jocks joined them at their Ivy League.
I'm incredible at hand jobs, but I also got a 1560 on the SATs.
Don't judge me, it was my 5th choice. Harvard.
Hey, I'm not going to college. I got recruited to go code for Google. I mean, it's not Apple, but...
Imagine everything you know being alive. That's like a monk committing to his life of abstinence only to learn on his deathbed that the word was celebrate, not celibate. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I was a part of the 90% of our senior class that just became our freshman community class, so I wasn't having random parties on a yacht, but boy do I know these parents.
Cheese and Salah, me being your dad was the greatest honor of my life.
There was a lot of parts that I loved in the movie, but all the parents bits I thought were equally hilarious. I loved the scene with the Scranton Strangler.
I'm being sarcastic! Get the fuck out of my car!
Surprisingly, the person I related to the most was George. A little bit more flamboyant than I was, but yo, he didn't give off.
I swear to fucking God.
The Malala reference was funny, not so much because of the word, but it's hilarious because I know we all have our own version of that word with your friends where they better stop everything if you summon up that card.
A marker is not a small thing.
Seeing Olivia Wilde's husband in it was cool.
Was that Cardi B?
Always good to see couples supporting each other in films. But on top of all of the comedic bits, the message is a bit different, than what we usually get in our average teen guy comedies. Dudes always see couples in movies, and let's just say it's always in their favor. So we usually don't have bits in our movies that call out unrealistic expectations, even though we pretty much could. Y'all seen that picture of Jason Momoa supposedly being out of shape? If he's out of shape, I'm out of luck. There was a line that's said by Annie, who's this smart student going into Yale, and yet she's the only one who's always getting called by her nickname because they slut shame her. And I'm sure we all remember that girl. Probably don't even remember her name, but the nickname that they gave her in high school. But what's bogus about this one is that even in the IMDb for her character, they put the slutty nickname instead. The wiki even put her real name in parentheses.
I just want people to know my real name.
Of course. Annabelle.
Fuck, dude, no, not right now.
Overall, I think it's a good movie, and I think it'll do well on streaming.
Watch me do. Watch me.
So I got this one at Sundance, and I liked it, but yo, did they fumble this one. See, Amazon had purchased this one, I guess assuming it'd be their next Big Sick. Both were huge at Sundance, with me getting denied 3 times to see the Big Sick the year that was out. And then this year for late night, there was reports that it was so buzzworthy. People with actual tickets who had already purchased their seats were denied entry. Something that wasn't the case at the box office. Both of them had similar budgets. Amazon paid big bucks for both. Both were limited releases that went wide around the same time. And while they centered around similar cultures too, one made money and got Oscar buzz. The other lost $33 million and got an exec fired. They still stuck my boy Kumail in an Uber though. Pretty much the story revolves around this British late night host who's about to get replaced by Dane Cook 2.0, so she pulls in a diversity hire for her all-male writing staff, hoping things get better. Here's the thing though, my girlfriend and I went through every movie dealing with a boss who is a female. Yo, why are they always mean? Like, unless we get an Ava doc, this trend seems to be continuing. This lady is so mean, she's firing people left and right. She's making fun of YouTubers just because they're YouTubers. She won't even give her colleagues of almost 30 years a name.
Never mind. I don't want to know. I don't know why I asked, actually. You're 5, 6, 7. That's what I'm going to call you all from now on. It's just easier.
Then there's Molly, who was handling quality control for a factory and really by chance ends up getting the writing jobs, and she has absolutely no writing experience.
And you have no experience in comedy?
No, I'm obsessed with comedy.
Now, not to sound like Grace Randolph with La La Land or anything like that, because, I mean, it is completely impossible, but I do like how Mindy puts parts of herself in there and makes it feel special, while some things could be exaggerated. Because early on, she was an intern on Conan, one of the few late night hosts I'd keep. There's a play on her name being Molly, but people are calling her Molly instead, just like her real name that had to be altered to sound, 1, more American, and 2, because I could just imagine the terrible jokes MCs made trying to announce her during her stand-up. And probably the one that got me the most on the rewatch was reading up on how her mom had actually passed of lung cancer. And so in the movie, she dedicates a stand-up event for that. Honestly, besides Amazon mishandling the theatrical release, the only complaints I have for the movie is that it wasn't a show. Rest in peace, Rip, but something like the Larry Sanders Show, but updated for Amazon, would have been great considering Mindy's known for TV. There are a lot of jokes and events that happen so fast in the movie that I think it not only merits rewatches, but I think certain jokes would have hit better if we actually got to know certain characters, that we knew they were actually good guys before they made like a hashtag joke. There would be room in between to develop Tom's character better, so he's not going from humiliating Molly to being her crying buddy at her apartment. I think a season would have even made Molly more intriguing as she learns from Catherine and not just Catherine learning from her, even though she's the one with all the accomplishments. The scene with Walter would have hit even harder if we would have seen all that history that they had and how he had cheated first. Overall, I liked it to the point of wanting more, and I think it'll find a better audience on Amazon, which is where this next one is thriving. This show is great. I wanted to talk about it with these other two, mainly to bring it up to people's attention, in case they've only heard about the other ones and not this one, or maybe even vice versa. But I also put it here because I kind of see it like a movie, since this is only 6 episodes and a season is like less than 3 hours. But this one went straight to streaming, so you don't even have to worry about theaters or them losing money. You can watch it right now. Seriously, as you guys know, I put spoiler warnings before everything here. Go watch it, but if you still need some convincing, I can spoil it for you and you will still find it entertaining afterwards. We follow Fleabag, who I don't even think she has a name. She's literally just known as Fleabag, and she runs a cafe, talks about her farts with her sister, and has Oscar winner Olivia Colman as a stepmom.
I'm sorry you had to hear that. But you did have to hear it. No, she'll do it.
She's the greatest. Fleabag also does this fourth wall break with the audience, I assume, but it's acted in a way where she's doing the bit during the scene, just off to the side.
You should totally get one of those.
A vagina?
Yeah.
Oh, I've already got one.
Really? No. You've got one?
I take it with me everywhere.
No, you lie. You don't have one on you now.
Yep, never gonna get it.
Where?
Where's my vagina?
Yeah.
Where's my vagina?
Yeah.
Oh, you got me. I don't carry a vagina around with me. That'd be way too provocative. Didn't get it.
It's like a cartoon Lizzie McGuire, but with more side-eye. In fact, that's the thing I'm most excited about, because in the second season, someone notices it.
We'll last a week.
What was that?
What?
Where did you just go?
What?
You just went somewhere. There. Where'd you just go?
Nowhere.
Yo, I tripped out so hard when that got noticed, because narratively it's genius, but it also kind of like embodies her mentality, her viewpoint, the way she sees the world, or at least abides by it. And then by episode 6, it turns out that this isn't a comedy, but a drama you should have been paying attention to the whole time.
You know, everyone feels like this a little bit and they're just not talking about it. Or I am completely fucking alone. Which isn't fucking funny.
Turns out the show's called Fleabag not because she has more space in a Chicago pothole, but because she cheated on her best friend's man. Did I say best friend? I meant business partner who opened up a cafe with her. Did I say living? The friend walked into traffic to teach her boyfriend a lesson. So what in the beginning ended up being like a comic relief thing with the fourth wall side eye ends up becoming a glance for help as she's looking at you saying, hey, you know me, you've been watching this show. And I'm like, yo, I was looking at my TV going, do not look at me, man.
People make mistakes.
That's why they put rubbers on the ends of pencils.
It's a fantastic show, and hopefully if you haven't seen it, you'll give it a chance. And if you need more convincing, let me just spit out some more highlights over here, which again has spoilers. 1, she's writing the new Bond 25, so it'd be cool to say that you knew her before she becomes extra famous. The other would be the shower scene, which was one of the funniest scenes I've seen all year.
Jesus. Oh, I thought you'd be later.
There's this scene with Brett Gelman, who I've been seeing so much of this man everywhere. He gives this major speech to his wife while their relationship is on the rocks. And man,
I am not going to leave you until you are down on your knees and begging me.
Please leave me.
she really did that. Even if you sat through the spoilers, like I said, All 3 of these are still worth your time. I've seen them all multiple times, and since it's easy to consume this last one especially, it's kind of like those good music 7-track tapes from last year. I hope more people tune into it, and all of them once they're available for you to watch in the comfort of your own home. Thank you guys for checking out this video. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Another good one, if I can add some recommendations here, because I know it takes me longer to make these videos, but Catch the Farewell. We have a video out over on the Intercut podcast where we talk not only of all of our favorites of this past year, but we mention a lot of the August releases that are really our number ones, but you know, we couldn't really put them because they're not out yet, but we caught them at festivals. Definitely want those to be on your radar, as well as these. I know a lot of people have been telling me that they haven't been playing near them, which really sucks, and which is why I'm always big on it streaming. You know, it may not be the cinema experience, but movies go to the theaters for a little bit. What, are they irrelevant afterwards? No, they either end up in home video or they end up streaming, and if the movie's good, the movie's still good, right? So I highly recommend all of these. Check them out. If you wanted to see any more of the recommendations that I had, like I said, a lot of people always ask us, like, why don't you cover this movie? We usually do. If you check out our Sundance and our South by videos, which are right here, you can see all of our picks for a lot of the movies that haven't come out this year, get a little heads up so you know really to keep an eye out for these movies, especially when some of them get released so limited. They're in theaters for like a week or less, and maybe to give you the heads up. Other than that, thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe so we don't bomb at the box office.